Hey, it's Aloha Flava. Let's out with Dr. John Peterson here, TE2 Sports Cards. Coming at you live and direct from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Everybody's doing well out there. It is Friday night, and I thought I would do a 37 graded card PSA reveal. I've got some of the details worked out here, so I'm happy to share that with you all as we go through the cards. I have looked at the grades. I typically do so that I can get an estimate of the cost, the value, estimated profit, that sort of thing. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also check me out on the eBay. I have an eBay store, TE2 Edge Sports Cards. All these cards are for sale. And you can also find me on Instagram at Leotawa Dr. John Peterson / Edge Sports Cards. So yeah, check me out on Insta. If you see something that you like, just shoot me a message, and yeah, we can get a deal done. Things have been good. Have had a good spring. I've had some beautiful weather here in Minnesota. It's one of the best springs that I can remember in terms of just temperature and weather. So that's been great. Kids finished school, so we're on summer vacation here. Of course, I'm still working and still doing the consulting, sports cards, and the beverage company, which has been going really well. The beverage is going over quite well with folks, so that's been great. I did the Minnesota Card Show 2.0 in April, and that was a lot of fun. That was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so 4 days. Set up a table there. I think the total gross profit was around $5,500 for the 4 days, which is the best that I've done at any show that I've ever set up at. I mean, it was really solid. A lot of people were looking for Anthony Edwards. I did a value box that had a variety of things in it that people went through. Had about 25 people go through that over the 4 days, which was really great. Got rid of some of that inventory that's been sitting for a long time. Had a chance to spend the better part of a day with my good friend Matthew Greeley of 3G Slabs. If you haven't checked out 3G Slabs, fantastic YouTube channel, and I love the way that Matthew does his reveals. They're awesome. So big shout out to him. I really enjoyed sitting at the table and chopping it up and talking cards and just life in general with him. He's a real good dude. I did have a 119 card PSA order come back about, let's see here, about 2-3 weeks ago. I haven't posted the video to that yet, but I will. It's just been kind of busy. But I figured I'd do this one first. I thought I'd get this up, and it's a little shorter, not quite as long, obviously. And people tend to like the vintage reveals. They like the modern, ultra modern reveals too, but I know a lot of the old heads like that vintage stuff. So, all right, enough chit chat. Let's get into the order, and let's start off with the first card, which was a 1976 Roger Staubach. Came back as min size, which was too bad. I thought this card would have been a 6. But yeah, PSA decided they wanted to send it back, so there you go. Of the order, it was the only one that came back ungraded, which was nice. You know, sometimes you get a situation where you get a number of cards back. So just the backstory on some of these cards. Some of these cards were in CSG slabs. Some of them were raw. Some of them came from my dad's collection that I ended up cracking the slabs open, the CSG slabs. And I think they were second generation CSG. They weren't in the CGC slabs. And sent them into PSA. So that's what I know about that. And then a good number of them were raw. But I'll give you the backstory on most of these cards. So number one thing that I noticed is these are the new PSA slabs. And, just looking at the back, it's definitely a sturdier, a little more heft in this slab on the left, the new slab. I really like the new slabs. They look like they're, really, really well constructed. I think some of the rationale was for them to make them tamper-proof, or more tamper-proof, so that you can't go in and crack them open and such. So, all right, so this first card is a 1960 Topps All-Star. This is the Hank Aaron. What do I want to do? I mean, I've seen these grades already, so I guess it really doesn't matter, but got a 6 on this, which I thought was a pretty generous grade, especially with the fisheye on his face. I don't know. I was really happy with this. Oh, I should mention this too. I sent this order in on early March. It arrived at PSA on the 12th of March and has been returned to me on the 14th. So you're looking at just over 3 months for the vintage. There were 37 items, and I paid $14.99 per card. It was the March vintage special, and the total order cost, including shipping and grading fees, was $606.64. So those were the details regarding the order. This 1960 Topps Aaron came from my dad's collection. I think of all the cards that my dad gave me here a few years ago, the 60 Topps cards had some of the nicest cards in them in terms of quality and condition. Some of the 57s, he gave me the 57 set. Those are really nice as well. But some of the 60 Topps cards were really nice. And some of the other stuff was really nice too, just not quite as high a grade. So this card I paid $0 for, and the value I think is around $150. If I were to sell it on eBay, less fees and taxes and grading cost, estimated profit would be around $105. Which seems kind of low for an Aaron. But yeah, that's what the comp looked like when I looked it up. All right, next card, 1960 Topps, second year Bob Gibson. This also came from my dad's collection, and this one got a 5, which I thought was a pretty fair grade. I've had this card 3 or 4 different times. Love this card, great card. It's his second year, and I had the rookie card at one point and sold that a year and a half ago. That was also from my dad's collection. That was, I think, a 6, if I'm not mistaken. Love to get that card back someday if I could, in a 7 or an 8. So again, I paid $0 for this. I think the value is right around 110, less the fees and the shipping and the grading fee. You're looking at about a $75 profit. Man, these new slabs are sweet. Holy shit. I really like these PSA slabs. This is a 1960 Topps Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub. This one got a 5. Get a sense of what that looks like. I thought that's a sweet card. I love the 60 Topps. 60 Topps is probably my 3rd favorite set in Topps of all time, with 56 being my number 1, 54 being my number 2, and 1960 Topps being my number 3 favorite set of all time. I just love the horizontal design. I love the fact that you get all-stars, you got the rookie cards, just a really great set. This card, value-wise, again, 0 cost. Value-wise, about $100, and so you're looking at a profit of about $65 if it's sold on eBay. A lot of these cards I'm not going to be in any big hurry to sell, though, because I don't have a lot of vintage left anymore. And I like to have vintage in the showcase. Of course, if somebody makes me a fair deal, I'll part ways with it. But 1960 Topps Sandy Koufax. This one got, so this was in a CSG slab, and it had the grade of 7.5. When I got it back from CSG, I was kind of disappointed because I thought it had the potential to be an 8, and this one got the 8. That's huge. Huge card. Paid 0 for it. I estimate the value between $1,100 and $1,200 as an 8. It's not super rare as an 8. There's probably 300-400 PSA 8s that are floating out there. But after eBay fees and grading fees, looking at a profit of about $1,000 to $1,050. I think condition-wise, this was probably the best condition card registration, corners, edges, surface, and then it being a star player, a Hall of Famer, all-time great Sandy Koufax of all the cards I got from my dad. So it's a great one there. Next one is a 1960 Topps Hank Aaron. This got a CSG 6, cracked it out, and the grade came back as a 6.5. So I actually jumped a half grade with this one, which I thought was somewhat shocking, that PSA would go up a half grade from where CSG was at on their vintage. Usually CSG is a little more liberal with their grading. So yeah, 6.5. Thrilled about this. This is a $750 value card in a 6.5, I estimate. And after fees and such, probably $585 to $600 profit. Now, granted, I didn't pay for this card. It came through my dad, so very fortunate in that regard. And again, not in any big hurry to move that card. Next one is the 1961 Post Serial. I was shocked by this grade. This got a 7. So this is hand cut. I don't know how in the world they decided to give this a 7, but I'll take it. These came in the backs of the Post Cereal boxes, and my dad tells the story of begging my grandma, his mom, to buy cereal boxes that had the sports cards in the back. So I think he would have been, at that time, about 14 years old. So I've had a number of these over the years from his collection, and this is one of the better ones. So value-wise, looking at about $250 as a PSA 7, $185 profit if it were to sell on eBay today. Next card is the 1963 Post Serial. This is also the Aaron. This one got a 5, which I thought was a really nice grade for this. It's about a $100 card in terms of value. And if you think about the grading fee, which is 15, eBay fees, which are about 13, 14%, and then taxes, which are another 5 to 6%, you're looking at about a $65 profit on this card. This is a fun one. This I bought at a card show from Steve at the Twin Cities Sports Collectors card show about 2 years ago. I think I paid maybe $3 for this. It was the nicest condition card of the stacks that I'd gone through at his table. It's the 1964 Friendly Foes. So if you're familiar with the McCovey Leon Wagner card, it's a nice one. This was a CSG 8, and it came back as an 8. So I stayed consistent, no drop off from CSG to PSA. You have to excuse my dog running around in the back here. I think this is a great card. I mean, for $3, what a great deal. It's about a $100 card in terms of value. After the grading fee and such, looking at about a $65 profit. Very nice copy of the 64 Topps Friendly Foes. Next card is 1964 National League Batting Leaders. I bought this at a card shop. It was probably $2, $3 card. It's got Davis, Tommy Davis, Clemente, Dick Groat, and Hank Aaron on. Obviously, Aaron and Clemente are the big pieces on this. I got a PSA 7, so I thought that turned out really well. I think that was a CSG. Probably a CSG 7, I'm guessing. Either that or a 6. Top to bottom, it's a little bit off-center, but left to right looks real good, and the corners are nice and sharp. That one down there's a little bit dinged up, but $125 card, $85 profit. Next card, this is the 1966 National League Batting Leaders, one of my all-time favorite cards. I bought this at the card shop in Hopkins. Bought it from Jesse when he was working at the Hopkins card shop, Ultimate Collectibles, which is owned by Shane. Bought this from Jesse. I don't know, I paid maybe $25, $30 for this card. It wasn't a lot. And it was in a CSG slab, and it was a CSG 7. So CSG gave it a pretty high grade. PSA, I thought was going to give it maybe a 6, and that's what I got. A PSA 6. So obviously this is the triumvirate of Clemente, Aaron, and Mays. I do believe it's the only card that exists with just the 3 of them on it. So this card's a little bit more valuable. I put it at about $300 to $325. And I would say after what I paid for it, grading fees and stuff, probably about $250 profit if I were to sell this. But I'm not, like I said, in any hurry to sell that card because it's one of my all-time favorites. If I had a PC, which I don't, I'd put it in my PC. Next card is a 1961 Topps Jim Brown. I bought this raw off of PWCC quite a while ago. I didn't realize that it had a small dent in it in the bottom left-hand corner when I bought it. I paid $210 for it, and originally I thought it would come back as a 7, and this one came back as a 5. So the dent is, let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, it's right down there under the C and the K in fullback. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, that was the issue with this card. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's there, and it's also in the left-hand corner. So you can see down there on the white. Still a great card. This is the second time I've owned this card. The other one I had, I also got from my dad's collection. That was a PSA 6, I think, 6 or a 7. And I sold that for $300-400 at a show to a guy that wanted it. This one I paid $210 for. I think the value's around $250, and so I'm looking at about a $25 loss on this card. Still a great card and not scratched off on the back, which is somewhat rare. Next card is a 1960 Topps Jim Brown. I bought this also raw on PWCC. I paid $360 for it, and it came back as, I was hoping for a 7, and it came back as a 7. That's a big card. Yeah, it's one of the bigger cards in the order. So it's a $500 to $600 card and a 7. I thought just what a fantastic photograph of, well, many would consider the GOAT. If Tom Brady's the modern GOAT, then this guy's the vintage GOAT. So after everything's said and done, probably make $100 to $150 profit off this card. I'll price that one right at 6 and won't budge on that one probably. Next one is a 1970 Topps Johnny Unitas. I pulled this out of a 5,000 count box at a local card store. Thought it was really nicely centered. Came back, I thought it was going to get a 6. Came back as a 6. Which I thought was pretty good considering that it's top to bottom not really super well lined up and centered. Probably paid $10 for this card. Probably worth about $50. I'm a profit about $10. So the 1970 Topps Johnny Unitas. Johnny U. Got a 1970 Topps Joe Namath. Also picked this up out of a 5,000 count box of commons at a local card store. I thought this was going to come back as a 6. It came back as a 7. I thought the registration on it was a little bit off in some of these little print issues over here, like a tiny fisheye and some other stuff, but they gave it a 7, and I'm not going to argue with that. The Namath paid about $10-15 for this, $125 in value, $70 profit. Great card. That's the year after they won the Super Bowl. This is a 1971 Topps Terry Bradshaw. This is the rookie card. This came out of the collection that I bought up in Amory, Wisconsin, a little over a year ago. Richie and I went on a little road trip and met a guy at the Slumberland up there. I worked at the Slumberland, or his friend worked at the Slumberland, so we met in the receiving area, and he had a whole bunch of binders and a whole bunch of boxes of cards and stuff, and I think I paid $325 for all of it. I've more than tripled the initial investment. I've probably made $1,000 off of this collection, and that doesn't include this card. This is the Bradshaw. I was gonna sell it raw. I was gonna put 75, 80, $100 on it. There was a second one that I sold that had a rip in it, and I think I sold that for like 40 or 50. I was thinking this was gonna come back. I mean, if you look at the back, it's pretty. It's not great in terms of the cut. I thought it was going to be a 2, came back as a 4, which I thought was a very nice grade for this card. So given the diamond cut, how close it is, I mean, they didn't give it a miscut grade or a qualifier, which was nice. So that's I don't know, I probably paid $5, $10 for this if you consider the whole collection. About $150 card. Looking at about $100 profit on this one. Somebody will snap this up. So, Bradshaw, rookie. Next one is a 1972 Topps John Riggins rookie card. This was also out of that 5,000 count box that I had searched. This is going back almost 2.5 years ago at a local card shop. I pulled out 3 or 4 of these rookie cards of Riggo. This was one of the better ones, and this one got a 7. Great card. Love the look on his face. Yeah, sweet card. This is not a overly valuable card. I think I probably paid $5 for this. I'd say it's worth about $55, so maybe a $25 profit on this. Riggo, 1983 Super Bowl MVP. This is a 75 Stabler. I just love this card. I mean, it didn't really make sense to have it graded because it's not worth a whole lot. But the Snake, Kenny the Snake Stabler, famous quarterback and a Hall of Fame quarterback for the Oakland Raiders, and played at Alabama in college and was a great college football player as well. Thought I'd get a 7 on this and got the 7. So paid $5, if that. Probably worth about $40 after grading. Maybe make about $10 off this. Somebody will snap these up though. These 7s can go into the registry for PSA. So people are always looking for 7s and above in terms of PSA slabs for this vintage stuff. This is the Manster, half man, half monster. Randy White rookie card, 1976 Topps football. Also came out of that 5,000 count box. It was a different box, but basically I was diving in the 5,000 count boxes. This was, I think, a 7.5 in a CSG slab. I cracked it out and it got a 7, which I think was a fair grade. This bottom left corner is a little bit touched up, but otherwise a nicely centered card of a Hall of Fame player from the Dallas Cowboys. The Manster, half man, half monster. All right, that's the first, it's about 15, 16 cards. Let's go on to the next group. So this next kind of series or run of cards were raw cards. When I first started digging in this local card shop's Vintage Commons, I came across a nice lot of 1971 Topps basketball. And of course, there was an Oscar Robertson and a couple Kareems, but they weren't in the greatest condition. But some of these more common cards were in exceptional condition. This is the Neil Johnson. Nobody really knows Neil Johnson. He's not really known for really anything, but I thought this was probably, in my estimation, the best condition card of all of the 71 Topps that I found in that lot when I found that run of 71 Topps. I thought this was going to come back as a 9. Came back as a 7. So was a little bit disappointed in that. I'm not exactly sure what the issue is with this. It's pretty perfectly centered, front and back, maybe a little bit left to right. but I'm guessing it's probably a surface-related issue, something I missed. So love the chops on this guy. They're great. So this, I mean, I didn't lose anything because I only paid $1 for it. It's probably worth 25 bucks, so might break even on this one. Next one is a 1971 Topps Earl the Pearl Monroe. This is not a rookie card. There are other cards of his that are older than this. I believe the, let's see, the 69. There's a 69 tall boy, excuse me, of this guy. Great guard. I think he's from New York City, if I'm not mistaken. I thought this was going to be a 7 or an 8. And I was happily surprised when I saw that it got a 9. I mean, a 1971 Topps Earl the Pearl Monroe in a Commons box that you buy for, what I paid, a couple bucks for this, to come back as a 9. Yeah, this is a $425 card. So I'm probably looking at profiting $300 to $350 off this. I'm not in any sort of rush to sell this card. I mean, just how great is that? That's amazing. So, yeah, just very, very fortunate and grateful for that one to come back as a 9. Next one is a 71 Topps Gail Goodrich, Hall of Fame guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. I thought this was a 7. And a solid 7, and it came back as an 8. The reason was the centering was a little bit off left to right, so I figured I'd get dinged on that, but got an 8 on the Goodrich. Paid a couple bucks for this. I'd say it's about a $90 card. Profit-wise, like about 50 bucks. Not bad considering I paid $1 for it. This is the 71 Topps Dan Issel. I've had this, maybe 3 or 4 of these cards. I had an 8.5 at one time in a CSG slab that I auctioned off on PWCC for about 125 bucks. That was stupid. I should have not done that, but in any case, found this one in my commons, and not in my commons, but it was in a CSG slab. I think it was a 7.5, and got an 8. A lot of people don't remember this guy, but he was a phenomenal player in the ABA and then also in the NBA for the Denver Nuggets. He was a classic big man that could shoot, rebound, score, play defense. Very rugged guy and rugged player. 20 bucks I think I paid for this, and it's a $180, $200 card. So looking at about $100 profit. This is one of the bigger cards from that 71 Topps lot that I picked up a while back. This is 71 Elgin Baylor. This was a CSG 8. I thought that was a fair grade. Also got the 8 in PSA. A little surprised. I thought this was going to come back as a 7. Hoping for an 8, obviously. But very pleased with this. I think I paid probably $5-10 bucks for this at the most. And it's a $250 value. So about 175 on the profit side. This would be later in his career. I think this might actually be, if not his last card, one of his last cards. I think he retired shortly thereafter. Next one is a 71 Paltz, Bill Paltz, 8. That's actually worth more than you'd think. That paid $1 for that, and that's an $85 card. So I'll probably profit 55 when I sell that. And I know these 8s will sell. They will sell quickly because they're so hard to find these days. This is a Mel Daniels, and this one got also an 8. Just turn my sheet here. Daniels is, for whatever reason, is a highly desired and valuable card. Paid $1 for this. The value is 150 and an 8. Estimated profit is about 105. And I think this guy was a scorer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't know why this is worth so much. Maybe it's a high number or something, but of course I looked at each of these cards in terms of grade, and if it got a 6 or a 7, would it be worth it to grade it? That sort of thing. Dave DeBusschere, forward for the New York Knicks. This gentleman also is in the Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken. Paid $1 for this. Came back as an 8. So did pretty well on these 71s. Thinking this is probably a $100 card and an 8. So probably a $65 to $75 profit. A little bit of a scuff mark over there on the slab, but great looking card. I love the 71 top set. It's my favorite basketball set, even more so than the 69 tall boys, which I've had a few of too. So Ron Boone, this is about $1 card. Also came back as an 8. Did well on that. $50. Maybe about 25 on that one. Former Senator Bill Bradley, Senator or Congressman, one of the two. This was also a $1 card. Came back as an 8. So really nice, solid grades on these 71 tops. This is probably a $75 card. So looking at about a $50 profit. Another 71 tops. Last of the 71 tops that I had graded. Byron Beck. Came back as an 8. I thought this card had a chance at a 9. Just because the centering was so solid. I do think there was something about the edging, if I'm not mistaken, on this card. The back was really nicely centered. But came back as an 8. Not worth as much, $25, so $5 profit, break even. Also from that digging at the local card show is the George Gervin rookie cards, the 74 tops. George's nickname was the Iceman, also famous for his finger roll and variety of shots that he could take and make. How we do on this one? Got a 6. Got a 6 on the Gervin, which is the same grade that CSG had given it. So somewhat surprised that some of these CSG grades are now lining up with the PSA reevaluated grades. In the past, I've found that CSG graded vintage is at least a full grade, if not a grade and a half lower when it goes to PSA. And I've gotten burned a few times on some stuff. So really nice to see PSA easing up a bit on the grading for some of the vintage. I was expecting this to come back as a 5. So for it to come back in a 6, we're looking at, I spent about $20, $25 on it. It's worth about 75. Make about, $20 on this at the most. And of course, the fisheye over there is the obvious issue, but you can see that the corners are a little bit soft too in some spots. 74 Jabbar. This was a CSG 6. Got a PSA 6. So I don't know. I'm happy. I'm happy. Maybe this grader was having a really good day or something. Paid $25, $30, $60 card. Probably broke even on this. Or will break even on that. This is a Tiny Archibald, 1975 tops. This was one of the nicer cards out of the cards that I bought. Raw. I think this was a CSG 9. I was hoping for a 9, but expecting an 8, which is what it got. This guy was a very good basketball player, prolific scorer, great shooter, great free throw shooter, great player, Hall of Famer. 1976 tops, Dr. J. This was a 5, came back as a 6. Sweet card. Look at Dr. J going over this guy. It's like, no. That looks like Artist Gilmore. Potentially, I could be wrong though. Oh, that card, $25, $25, $60 value, probably $10 profit. 1978 Bernard King, rookie card. This was a CSG 8. Came back as an 8. No drop off. So I had 3 of these. This is the last one. I think it was the best one that I kept of the three. I sold one and gave one away to a friend, a guy that I know from Ultimate Collectibles over in Hopkins, Little Joe. And we're looking at about $5-10 I paid, $75 value. Probably make about $35 off this card. This is an interesting one. This is a 1979 Topps Kareem. I had this in a CSG slab and it was an 8.5. So I was expecting a 7 or an 8 on this card, and when I got it back, it ended up with a 6. So I'm thinking, like, what in the world happened with this card? Might be surface, possibly, but still a great card. Just didn't grade as high as I thought it would. Yeah. So anyway, probably paid $10 for it. Probably worth about 25. Probably down $5 on that card. And then the last card of the order, 1979 Topps Alex English. I probably paid at the most $5 for this card. I found it in one of the 5,000 count boxes and got it graded. I thought it was one of the nicer 79 Topps that I'd found, especially around the centering and the corners. Was hoping for an 8, expecting a 7 or an 8, and got a 9. So this is his rookie card. This is a huge, huge card. It's not a high pop count, less than 200, and a PSA 9. There are a few 10s, but not very many. This guy's a Hall of Famer, played for the Denver Nuggets, also the Pacers, obviously, and prolific scorer, really unique shot. And I think I paid $3-4 for this card, and it's a $500 card. So looking to profit about $400 off of this. So overall, a very good order. Feeling very grateful and appreciative. I feel like PSA did really well with the new slabs. I think these new slabs are phenomenal. They're a little heavier, they're a little sturdier, not as light, and I think the grading was, from what my experience has been with vintage cards, they have been overly harsh on vintage cards in the last couple of years that I've been doing grading with PSA. It's one of the reasons why I shifted to CSG, because I felt like their grading was a little more reasonable. This is the first order I've gotten back where I really felt like the grades were pretty spot on. And maybe in a couple instances, even a little bit of an overgrade. But overall, I was just really pleased, super excited about the Alex English rookie card, the Koufax, the Earl Monroe. I mean, to get 9s on those 2 basketball cards that are, 40 plus years old is, actually not 40 years old, 50 plus years old, I think is pretty exceptional. And to get them for like, a couple bucks is just unbelievable. So anyway, thanks for watching. It's kind of a long video. I'll get this posted and uploaded tonight so that people can watch it. I hope you stay blessed out there. Faftai Leatua, thanks be to the Creator, and Manuia, blessings to you. Peace out. One love.